Given the severity of the latest Apache Log4j vulnerability, we at AppDynamics would like to show you the benefits of using the AppDynamics platform with Cisco Secure Application in order to detect and mitigate these types of critical vulnerabilities. We'll start from the application flow map, the dashboard. We'll click on Security Events. And I'm going to give you a couple different ways to search for and find the vulnerabilities. The first way we can look at this is through the application view. What we want to make sure and do here is ensure that the Cisco Secure Application is enabled on this particular application and or other applications. Simply selecting the application, coming up to set security and clicking on enable. You can disable or you can inherit from the parent. In this case, this particular application has been enabled. Now that we understand our application is enabled for secure application, we'll want to determine where those vulnerabilities lie. So we'll click Vulnerabilities, making sure that we select vulnerability in the search, the type of search. In this case, we're doing the CVE 2021-44228. This is the particular Log4j vulnerability. And you can see that it's pulled up two vulnerabilities. They are within that application that I've selected. So again, if you remove the filter, you will see other applications potentially, and the corresponding tier and existing library that's affected. The risk factor, 10, that's critical, it's as high as it goes. When it was detected and what the status is. We can see that one has been fixed, one instance has been fixed, another has just been discovered. So we'll drill down into that vulnerability. We can see here the title, the reported severity, again it's critical, the vector string, as well as when it was first detected and last seen, and the remediation. Will give you an indication, in this case, to upgrade to a version that will potentially be patching that vulnerability. There is an additional description for more information, or we can click the redirect link next to the title page, which pulls up the NVD, the source for that particular vulnerability according to the National Vulnerability Database. You can override the setting, the severity, or you can change the status. You can change from discovered to confirmed or ignore. And you can also add some additional notes if you would like. So that is option number one. This is one way of looking for that vulnerability through the view of the applications. And then we can also look and see globally through our libraries what exactly may be also vulnerable by selecting the existing libraries here in the search bar. And I'll just type in Log4j and seeing all our instances of Log4j. The two are here. We can see that only one has two critical vulnerabilities, two low vulnerabilities. There is another instance of Log4j, and that one is not vulnerable. So let's drill down into, and again, you can select the status and override the status here as well, but let's drill down into that. And again, we're given the name, which application and tier, the risk factor, the number of vulnerabilities in which category. The remediation candidate is to upgrade this particular library to version 2.16. And once you've remediated that, the status will then be changed to fixed. So I've given you two ways to look at and discover where those vulnerabilities are through discovering which vulnerabilities from an application perspective or which libraries may contain those particular vulnerabilities. So what we want to make sure and do is then prevent any new application that gets brought into this environment to be protected. And in order to do that, we're going to want to create a policy in order to detect and mitigate those vulnerabilities. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to either create a new policy or utilize an existing policy. The policy that we're going to either create or modified is the first one here. It's called network or socket access. We're going to want to make sure that it detects and it's looking for all applications in all tiers. And we're going to want to make sure and have the action as to block rather than the default, which is to detect. If you do not already have a policy with this name, you can simply click Create New Policy. Under the name, we're going to want to click on Network or Socket Access Network. Again, we're going to want to make sure that the all is for, we're going to look for all applications, all tiers, and create a rule. We're going to want to select the stack trace, if stack trace contains, and then the value is something that we're going to have to give you for this particular vulnerability. And in this particular vulnerability, it's going to be this string, org.apache.log4j.core.net.jndimanager.lookup. And I'm going to just copy that and place that in the value. And then again, my default action is going to be blocking that. I will click Save. If this policy has already been created for perhaps for a different vulnerability, you can simply modify that by coming to the Modify, coming down, and you could add an additional rule. But you can see that we already added the stack trace contains that string, and then we're going to block it. If you added a new rule, you would then just simply update that. It would then show you a confirmation page as to this rule or this policy being modified. You will then see in the rules section the line that you added and making sure that it shows as block. I hope this helps you identify how AppDynamics with Secure Application can be utilized in defending your environments from potential vulnerabilities. Thank you very much for watching.